Hi everyone, my name is Sahad Sayed and I will be presenting the sector controls presentation of Virginia Department of Elections alongside Rohan, Adam, and Asami. The first slide covers TVA vectors ranked and their CIS controls. The first one on the list is viruses, malware, Trojan horses, and worms. CIS control is 10, malware defenses. The key performance identifier is client retention. Installing malware defense software in organizations and companies will retain our clients because we are ensuring their protection from cyber attacks and malicious actors. Key risk identifiers falls under operational KRI. If there is a system failure or IT security breach, if not well secured. The second is phishing. CIS controls fall under 9 and 14, which is email and web browser protections and security awareness and skills training. KPI is client retention and client satisfaction, keeping staff aware of phishing attempts and being able to avoid and prevent phishing attempts will retain clients and will keep them happy. KRI of phishing is people KRI, so low training can lead to unaware staff. The second slide covers the third on the list, which is supply chain subversion. Falls under 2 and 16 assist control, which is inventory and control of software assets and application software security. KPI is the total number of bugs is reduced while maintaining code integrity from development to production. And KRI, changes in code cause unforeseen damages. 4 on the list is software implementation. Falls under CIS control 2, inventory and control of software assets as well, and 16, application software security. And the 5th on the list is touchscreen ballot marking, which falls under CIS control 4, secure configuration of enterprise assets and software. The key performance identifiers are incidents, level of incidents, and the number of incidents. And the KRI are financial KRI, high costs that may come with purchasing these kind of machines and installing types of software to avoid or prevent any cyber attacks.
The next 3 vectors are foreign APT groups from Russia, Iran, and China. We see a high reduction of risk through the implementation of a few controls. The first is Control 6, Access Control Management, Control 7, Continuous Vulnerability Management, and Control 13, Network Monitoring and Defense. Controlling access to the database and systems will protect them because unauthorized users, such as foreign agents, will be unable to infiltrate the system and manipulate the data. A continuous assessment of vulnerabilities and automated patching will decrease the nodes through which the system can be attacked. This should happen probably at least once per quarter. And finally, monitoring the network will provide a basic level of defense for known attacks and allow for timely notification and responses to intrusions by foreign actors. The next vulnerability vector is the data storage of ballots. There can be a high risk reduction with Control 3, data protection, and again, Control 6, access control management. Data encryption and protection, as well as maintenance of proper retention and deletion practices, will ensure the integrity of the data and therefore the results of the election. Preventing unauthorized access to the data will prevent manipulation of information, which further protects the integrity of the results. Next, misinformation or disinformation campaigns. With Control 14, security awareness and skills training, the organization can moderately reduce risk because increased knowledge and awareness of the different tactics people use to disseminate false news or manipulate data will help employees protect information and also help them teach others what to look out for in such misleading campaigns. And finally, influence operations against air-gapped systems. There can be a significant reduction in risk through the implementation of Control 4, secure configuration of enterprise assets and software. Secure configuration of servers and peripheral devices will protect them from invalid or malicious input. Security personnel can respond to physical events within the air-gapped system area because of segmented technical controls.
Hello, my name is Adam Tish, and I will be covering the cost details for the controls for the VERA system. There are 7 controls that we're going to discuss today. 1, antivirus and anti-malware. That's going to initially cost around $30 to $150, depending on the service that is obtained, with no maintenance cost, because that will be on the vendor and part of the package. The second control will be email protection, or SMPT filtering. The initial cost will be around $2,000 annually, and maintenance costs will be about $72 per the number of employees for Fairfax County. However, if Fairfax County does have engineers, this SMPT filtering can be conducted within firewalls and switches and will reduce the cost significantly. The third control will be implementing enterprise mobility management, which will also include mobile device management and mobile application management as well. That will happen at the actual device level. So given the population of about 750,000 individuals, there'll be 18,000 devices that are needed. At a cost of $4 to $9 initially, we're looking anywhere between $7,000 and just over $16,000 for the initial cost for EMM, with no maintenance cost as well. Fourth, we'll have a third-party crown jewel assessment conducted. This will help get inventory of the systems that we need to protect. With that being said, depending on the size and breadth of the assessment, it could range anywhere from $50,000 to $250,000. Fifth is going to be the machine acquisition, so all of the system servers and hardware that are necessary to run VERA system. With that, it's going to range anywhere between $9 million and $24.4 million, with the service cost or maintenance cost around $3 to $3.8 million to conduct and maintain annually. 6 will be the identification or identity access management solution. That's going to range anywhere from about $5,000 to $10,000 annually, with a $6,000 one-time licensing fee. And then the maintenance cost is going to be the MFA, because it'll be token based. Typically, there's going to be a hardware solution that will be given out to employees, and then the maintenance on the back end of the server for identification. So that's going to range anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000. And then data loss prevention. It's a 39.9 or 0.99, so almost $40 for 5 devices. Now, because the devices for data loss is going to be the servers themselves, it is likely that we'll need just a handful of those licenses to maintain the records of the voters within Fairfax County. And that would bring the total of initial cost anywhere from about $9.12 million to $24.68 million, and the maintenance cost from about $3.02 million to about $4.02 million, plus the number of employees times 72. With that being said, the total cost would range between $12 million and almost $27 million for the initial controls and devices and hardware to set up the new VERA system. That concludes my portion of the brief. Thank you. Have a great day.
Okay, so I'm looking at this from the MITRE attack framework, and as opposed to the CIS controls where we rank them by APT, we're now ranking them by function within the MITRE attack threat matrix. So the first we looked at is reconnaissance, and that's probably the largest threat. Now, obviously, I didn't go through every MITRE attack framework, but the largest is reconnaissance. This is getting in through the networks for both the Virginia elections, the election hacking, and the election security piece, but also from the insider data that can be used to undermine the integrity or the perceived integrity of the election. So we assessed that to have about 5 analysts to do continuous threat hunting at about $150,000 per analyst. Maybe that's a little bit on the low end, but that would be just the cost that we assess needs to be run. Maybe not a 24-hour SOC, but Security Operations Center, but to be them on staff. Next is escalation, and this is spear phishing. This is how the Russian APTs infiltrated into the 2016 election. It's probably a good way that they'll infiltrate maybe some of the back end equipment for the Virginia Election Authority. And this was largely avoided in the past because of two-factor authentication. If they had two-factor authentication on the DNC emails, on John Podesta's email, that wouldn't have happened. And that prevents spear phishing or a malicious site link or attachment sent if there's two-factor authentication. There's a minimal cost, but the cost is in education. It's hard to quantify, but it would be from a physical perspective, a minimal cost. Then we look at exfiltration. Again, this is talking about exfiltrating voter rolls, exfiltrating other data points that might be that might impact overall election security. This is an audit and management perspective. What data is there and what data is not? What data has been taken out, what data is being photocopied, what data is being printed out. This is a vigorous audit patrol of all sensitive data, and it will cost. You need an entire team to look at this and to manage this information. And I put public relations as well. I put it twice just because you do want to get out the information beforehand. You do want to set the environment up a bit to show that you are putting these controls in to make people feel that the election is secure. And then finally, impact. This is almost impossible to do from the Virginia elections perspective. This is shaping the information environment so that these thoughts of voter intimidation or voter integrity don't get put in the mainstream. Probably beyond what Virginia election can do. But I will say, if there's an incident, we're talking about a public relations disaster, $1 million minimum to clean it up. So that's the impact. That's for remediation after the fact. Okay, so I just want to finish up with the MITRE ATTCK controls. And here's the threat vulnerability or attack vector, the MITRE approximation, and then the mitigating controls under the MITRE ATTC. So viruses, malware, Trojan horses, worms, obviously this will be conducted in the reconnaissance and execution phase of our attack. And as we mentioned, malware implementation either at the voting booth or among the personal computers of the voter or the election representatives would be a part of our attack. And so we're looking at control network traffic. Phishing, and as outlined above, phishing is using a spear phishing mass email attack to get access to initial voter registration data, voter databases. And obviously reconnaissance and initial access are the key MITRE points. And you can see again the controls here. And I'm not going to go through each one of these in depth. So again, the supply chain subversion, these are the initial access supply chain compromise. And again, we just like the solar winds, the back end support that can be targeted for the voter registration. So there might be front end controls, but literally the software that's bought and other elements in the digital components of these voting machines might be part of a target. And then the implementation of the actual voting software, as mentioned, the CIS controls, but in the MITRE controls as well. These are the sub-variants, execution, sophomore deployment tools. And you see, again, the MITRE controls here. And I'm not going to go through each one of these in depth, but then finally, these are the characteristics of both the Russia, Iran, and China APTs. And the real difference is, we brought these up here. These are not really in the MITRE analysis, misinformation and influence operations. It's not part of a technical control or a management control. These are the larger controls going forward. And so the similarities, particularly in the top here, the CIS controls regarding virus, phishing, and supply chain subversion are similar to the MITRE approximations. And if you go to, sorry, don't mean to go all the way to the top here, you see the malware defense and the cost for these for implementations. Again, these controls, whether it's through education or through protection, are relatively similar to the MITRE controls. Where they kind of differ, or where there's more of a large difference, is again when you talk about the misinformation and disinformation. So that's the applicable controls. If there's questions, issues, please let me know.